Sorry?
You're going to have that infinity effect.
It could. Potential for disaster.
The screen, as long as you don't get audio feedback. you're okay.
It should be okay.
Sounds very just cool.
Yeah.
You're starting now?
It's on. It's been on for a couple minutes. Don't say anything about you don't like. My name is Rishi Award, and I am board chair for the Word. I came in contact with the Word in 2018. I was at the Denver Publishing Institute looking at entertainment publishing. It was something that when I thought about as a child, I had wanted to be a writer, but I didn't really actually ever see writers who looked like me or even books or authors who looked like me, and it just was never something that was a concept in my brain. And so when I decided to enter publishing and make it a professional career, I was at DPI as part of that path, and Bianca was one of the speakers as well. She was there at the time, and we had to talk about just both of our desires to really see more diversity in the publishing space, to really make sure that publishing became more inclusive, and ultimately allow there to be a space for people in margins to ultimately have a voice, to make sure that their voice mattered and was represented in a way that really had an impact on future generations, but also in their lives today. And so it's been my honor to be a part of the board all these years, and to be part of the mentorship program. I'm excited to see the largest conference come up and be in person this year. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited about the things that we're just doing as a whole. And so when we launched Margins in 2020, we were asking ourselves to recall the heart of our celebration, to love what we truly love without wondering if anyone else knows it's important. With that awakened memory, we forged 3 new literary awards to reclaim the beauty of what we create without denying the value we fight to be here. The 3 awards are based on individuals qualifying for the awards based on identifying as being from a historically marginalized group based on either racial, cultural, ethnic, or religious identity, gender identity, sexual orientation, physical, cognitive, or emotional disability, socioeconomic diversity, and personal experience that are stated justice. So we also want to make sure that their contributions to literary arts since the previous Marshall Award, and just really want to make sure we're recognizing the way that these awardees ultimately are changing the system. So the names and descriptions of Robert Rishi Award was created by the first Margins Planning Committee, and this year's committee voted on the awardees based on the nominations received from the community. So we have 3 awards that we'll be giving out tonight, and I'll let you know. Here to present the Rasquache Award. The Rasquache Award is an acknowledgement of literary artists whose way of working honors and celebrates inherent cultural wealth and the ability to sustain our communities with our existing resources. And I am so thrilled to announce that the 2022 recipient of this award is Valerie Belcourt. Joining us in a moment by screen to tell you a little bit more. Valerie Belcourt is a writer and academic from the Dirk Creation. He is an assistant professor in the creative writing program at the University of British Columbia. In 2018, Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation Scholar. He earned his PhD in English at the University of Alberta. He was also a 2016 Rhodes Scholar and holds MSc in Women's Studies from the University of Oxford and Wadham College. In the First Nations Youth category, Belcourt was awarded a 2019 Inspire Award, which is the highest honor the Indigenous community bestows on its own youth. He is the author of 3 books: This Wound is a World, NDN Coping Mechanisms, Notes from the Field, and the History of My Grief Body. Billy Ray's debut book of poems, This Wound is a World, won the 2018 Griffin Poetry Prize, making him the youngest ever winner. And the 2018 Robert Rishi City of Edmonton Book Award. It was also named the most significant book of poetry in English by an emerging Indigenous writer in the 2018 Indigenous Voices Award. This Wound is a World was a finalist for the 2018 Governor General's Literary Work of Poetry, the 2018 Robert Rishi Award for Poetry, and the 2018 Gerald Lambert Memorial Award. It was also named by CBC Books as the Best Canadian Poetry Collection 2017. His sophomore book, NDN Coping Mechanisms, Notes from the Field, a national bestseller, is out now. According to Open Book, the book cements Belcourt as one of the most imaginative and creative writers in the country. Of the poems, the Toronto Star says, both intellectual and visceral, they dazzle with metaphorical richness and striking lyricism. It was longlisted for Canada Reads 2020 and shortlisted for the 2020 Lambda Literary Awards for Gay Poetry, the 2020 Robert Rishi City of Edmonton Book Award, and the 2020 Raymond Award. It won the 2020 Stephen G. Stevenson Award for Poetry. His 3rd book, A History of My Greek Body, Essays and Vignettes on Greek Colonial Violence, Joy, Love, and Queerness, published in Canada in August 2020. It was a #1 national bestseller, a Globe and Mail Best Book, and is a finalist for the 2020 Governor General's Literary Award for Nonfiction, the 2021 Lambda Literary Award for Gay Memoir Biography, and 2 BC and Yukon Book Prizes. His 4th book, A Minor Chorus, will be published in the fall of 2020. Billy Ray was nominated by a member of our community who shared the following. I've been following Belcourt's work since reading the poetry collection, This Wound is a World. Belcourt is a writer of the Cree Nation, and his work spans poetry, biography, academic works, political commentaries, and additional community-centered projects. It all centers in the idea that the act of stepping into the grief and pain from marginalization is the work of conjuring
different from minding pain and displaying its feet outside interest, it is the embrace of self, whole in our shredded pieces. That is how we feed ourselves. It seems to me the very idea of creating something where many may see nothing. And this thread rounds Belcourt's very direct comments on pressing needs of indigenous communities, as well as more artistic storytelling. Please join me in welcoming Billy Ray.
I am here, but the video doesn't seem to be working. If there's anyone on the tech side that can take a look at that. Okay, here I am. Hello. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. I'm zooming in from my ancestral territory in northern Alberta, the Cree, the ancestral territory of the Cree, Treaty 8 territory. I live and work in Vancouver, which is the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh. It is a really immense honor to be awarded this award, which seems to be a celebration of the sort of radical spirit of literary work, which I very much subscribe to, and in the spirit of radical writers like Audre Lorde and Lee Miracle here in Canada. I aspire for my work to contribute to a larger project of freedom and revolution. And this award feels like a recognition of that, so I thank you. And I'm going to read from my forthcoming novel, A Minor Chorus. Okay, I don't think I need to set up anything. It's about a depressed graduate student who is considering leaving academia. On dating apps, I sometimes ask men to describe the texture of their grief. If I wasn't immediately blocked, most spouted platitudes or it said something like, "Are you looking or not?" Those who did make it to my door were brief, nameless, untalkative. Usually they wanted me to be a room they could govern the limits of, paint a new shade of blue, hungry topaz, hungry sapphire. I developed a habit of hooking up with men after long evenings of working on my dissertation, of writing into the void, hurling myself at myself. For a while, this felt like an extension of my work, mostly because my sadness and horniness had become inextricably entangled. Perhaps unsurprisingly, neither what I wrote nor whom I met at all hours of the night made me feel much else other than dim and indistinct. What I wanted from sex, I wanted from writing: to be more fully inside my body without encumbrance, to experience embodiment as something other than a catch-22. My body felt so thoroughly overdetermined by forces outside of me, yet it was the source of my livability. It literally coursed with life, even as life was something I was being deprived of. Love, art, these were small portals. They allowed for transcendence. Maybe there was a kind of danger in how ravenous I was for that which placed me beside the present. It was too late in the day to fully pursue this epiphany to its logical end, especially after the conversation with my doctoral advisor that afternoon. So I opened the dating app once more. I ended up messaging with a therapist. He'd heard of me, seen me around campus, which terrified me, ruptured the allure of anonymity. I was less interested in having sex with him and more interested in his knowledge, which I suppose is also a kind of eroticism. He asked me to send another photo to be sure I was who I said I was. I sent him a photo a friend had taken one afternoon at a campground about an hour east of the city. In it, you could see the tattoos on my knuckles, which spelled out my username, Cree Homo. In my early 20-something mind, the act was an homage to Roland Barthes' famous declaration that language is a kind of skin. I interpreted the aphorism literally, wanted to turn my body into a book of sad poems. I convinced myself that the tattoo would amount to a small refusal of the ways colonial systems demanded my invisibility. I hadn't yet understood that visibility begot its own kind of endangerment. And I'm going to read one more small passage toward the end of the book. Let's say art turns us all into tired metaphysicians. Let's say the novel makes only one provocation it can't actualize. Prove to me with certainty the present is all there is. Let's say I'm fictitious in the way reality is fictitious. Let's say I have to be unendingly invented and reinvented. Let's say I believe in myself the way a good citizen believes in the goodness of his country. Let's say that's a lie. Let's say I can't be a beautiful sentence unto myself. Let's say I hate this about myself. Let's say I'm drowning and I'm in a hotel room. Let's say this is a simple story with a beginning and an end. Let's say I'm part of a breathtaking view. Let's say I made love and art as if I hadn't already lost the war. Thank you so much.
So much for being that will have you in another year. I'm going to invite Alyssa, some more access here too.
All right. Alyssa, here, and superintendent Valerie. Valerie is also an equivalent author, picture books, or jam. Kate right there, picture books, jam. So, here to present the Rishi Award is an acknowledgement of a literary artist, a seer, a sage, or cultural bearer, whose work reminds us that diverse voices are essential. To a thriving cultural landscape. In 2020, the award was given to Echo Brown, which, fun fact, Echo Brown worked with my editor. So that's full circle moment, right? So tonight, it is my honor and privilege to award the 2022 Rishi Award to Valerie Bolling. Valerie is the author of Let's Dance, the 2021 SCWI Crystal Kite Award winner, and a CT Book Award finalist. And Together We Ride, which has received star reviews from Horn Books and School Library Journal. Valerie is looking forward to the release of Ride, Roll, Run,
time for fun in October. So get those bottles out. Sequels to those books, Together We Swim, and Being Up, AM, Time to Change. Rhyming thing here. Everything is better when you write. As well as a Scholastic Early Reader series, Rainbow Days, all slated for 2023. Valerie has been busy. A graduate of Tufts University and Columbia University Teachers College, Valerie has been an educator for over 30 years. She currently works as an instructional coach for Greenwich Public Schools and teaches picture book writing classes. She is also a We Need Diverse Books mentor after being a mentee, and is deeply immersed in the kid-led writing community, particularly involved with SCWI, the 12 by 12 Picture Book Challenge, Black Creators Headquarters, and Diverse Verse. Valerie and her husband live in Connecticut and enjoy traveling, hiking, reading, going to the theater, and dancing. So hopefully we can dance there for a little bit. So our nominee said had some more wonderful things to say about Valerie. In addition to being an award-winning author and having 8 books that are going to be published, Valerie's most significant contributions to the literary community are the relationships she has built and sustained with other writers. As a beginner writer, I researched successful authors with the hope of emulating the skills and practices leading to their success. I immediately noticed Valerie, who was taking center stage in the literary world despite the devastating impact of COVID-19. Yeah, Valerie's everywhere. Racial unrest. And it was at this time that I recognized her resilience and steadfastness. World problems became her platform. Her name appeared on panels and committees that championed diversity, equity, and inclusion. She co-chaired the DEI team for NESCWI, was named the DEI committee for 12 by 12 Picture Book Challenge, and the co-moderator of the 12 by 12 Black Affinity Group. Valerie encourages, celebrates, and helps other authors navigate the publishing space. Is extremely generous with her time, sharing resources, and no surprise, teaching children's book writing classes in Westport Writing Workshop. Valerie not only serves on these committees, promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, but she is also formally and informally a mentor to aspiring writers. In 2022, Valerie was a We Need Diverse Books mentee, and is now a mentor. Her selflessness in the industry, she's always happy to answer questions about the path to publication and share any views on conferences, organizations, and writing opportunities with other writers. Valerie believes diverse voices are essential to a thriving and culturally diverse landscape. She is a heroine that exemplifies equitable and inclusive leadership and advocacy in the literary community. Valerie's skills, knowledge, and willingness to help others qualifies her for the Rishi Award. Please join me in welcoming Valerie with a round of applause.
Thank you all so much for that strong applause, and just hearing Alyssa say all those things about me. I just need a moment, maybe. It's just, it's overwhelming when you hear someone say all those things about you that you just kind of do. You don't really think much about. It is an honor to receive the Rishi Award, which acknowledges my commitment to ensuring that diverse voices are essential to a thriving cultural landscape. I'd like to thank my nominator, Sherry Mercer. She's not here, but I want to thank her. And because she nominated me for this award. And of course, I want to thank the Margins Committee very much for selecting me. I was asked to share a bit about my publication journey. I know Billy Ray did share from his writing, but the majority of people here, I think, are a bit more of a mature audience, not necessarily kid lit, and I did share one of my books earlier today. So I just wanted to talk a bit about my publication journey. So first of all, I still feel as if I'm new to writing for children. I've always written, I've always, as a child, been a writer throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, college. I've had works published in literary magazines for schools and things like that. But I turned to picture book writing in 2017. And my first book, Let's Dance, was acquired in 2018. So, and then it was published in 2020, which is the normal cycle for a picture book because they have to find an illustrator and the illustrator is starting from scratch. So when I think about, 2017, to me, that's very recent. It's only 5 years ago, and particularly we lost 2 years, maybe 3 years to COVID. It really doesn't seem that long ago at all. And so for me, I just feel that I'm still new and I'm still learning, but because I do have some books published, I am able to share information with others. And so I appreciate being able to do that. Alyssa was kind enough to mention the other books that I've published, that have been published since Let's Dance. So just a bit about that. So Let's Dance was published without me having an agent. And 3 months after the book was published was when I signed with an agent. And he went out with a book, which is Together We Ride, that came out in April. And that resulted in two book deals from 2 different publishers. There was actually an auction, and so I had a choice between a 2-book deal and a 3-book deal. And most people would have taken the 3-book deal because it's more books and more money. But I said, I'd like to have a conversation with each of the editors. And the 2-book deal editor, I actually per vision jived a bit more with mine, but I did say to my agent, I said, I could work with this other person too if I didn't have a choice. It wasn't as if, I picked this person because the other one I would have felt uncomfortable working with. It was just that I had a choice. And I said, but am I making a mistake? I mean, picking 2 books versus 3? He said, no, you should do what you want. He said, but that 3rd book is out there. We could ask the other publisher if they're interested. And I said, well, they'll probably say no because they didn't get the book that, was the front runner. And he said, perhaps, but we can ask. So when he asked, they as well offered a 2-book deal. So that's why I have Together We Ride and Together We Swim next year with Chronicle, and then with Abrams, Ride, Roll, Run this year, and then Big Bop Bam next year. So I just feel really blessed to have those opportunities. And those books are all joy books. In fact, I recently heard that I read Kirkus, which is notorious for giving not good reviews, described Ride, Roll, Run, Time for Fun as pure joy. And there wasn't even one negative sentence. Yeah. So, so I guess I say this to say that everyone's journey is different. In some ways, I feel I'm fortunate that things happen somewhat quickly for me, but I also met some people recently who said within 3 months or 5 months, they had found an agent. So, and then there are people who've been querying for maybe 5 years, but if that's your dream and that's what you really want, you can get there. So I feel that overall my journey has really been an adventure. And while I'm happy to be published, I want you to take away from the things I've shared that you should follow your own path. It is great to have an agent if that's what you want, But if you want to self-publish, or if you want to start with, you know, small presses, or get an editor to connect with, I know some of you, you know, writing in the adult or poetry genre, it may be different. So I'm sort of talking about kid lit. And also, I should tell you that while in some ways it seemed that things happened quickly, I had sent out 150 queries before I signed with my agent. So it's not as if it was just as quick as it might seem. So I just want to close by saying I will continue to write books that feature children from diverse backgrounds, because I want all children, and I say this on my website, I want all children to feel at home when they read my books. All children, especially those who are often marginalized and underrepresented, need to see themselves as books, as well as a myriad of possibilities for themselves. They deserve to be valued and validated. I want to thank Margins again for this award, and I share it with fellow creators who are adding their much needed diverse voices to the literary canon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing all of that wonderful insight, Valerie. It's my pleasure to introduce who will present the next two. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you all at home for watching and tuning in and cheering for the awardees. It's really an honor and a joy for this. It's so much pleasure to be able to celebrate people who aren't celebrated enough. All of us should be household names, and so the goal is to continue to celebrating ourselves and our community. And again, you are nominated by members of the community, voted on people who are not staff at the word, right? Voted on, but all of those nominations were received by a committee of people, and so you were really your representatives of the community who chose you, who voted for you. So I want to make sure that that's really, really clear. And it's just, I'm not crying yet, but a little bit I'm crying. So it's been such an honor to spend this time with you and spend this space with you. And we're halfway through the Margins Conference. We still have another full day tomorrow for programming, and I'm so excited that I get to be in space with you and be in the community with you. I hope that you are all feeling some magic in your hearts right now. I am a little bit, and it's also, speaking of magic, my honor to present the Alchemy Award. So this is very exciting. The Alchemy Award is an acknowledgement of an organizer or organization whose work in the literary arts is to craft and conjure a more inclusive and equitable world. In 2020, the Alchemy Award went to Alice Wong. Tonight, I have the honor of presenting this award to Andre Carbonell, also known as, and perhaps better known as, Hakeem Furious. Hakeem Furious kicked off last night's event, so you may have heard him read some poetry. He also co-hosted a couple of things at the same time today, because thank you. So Hakeem Furious is a wordsmith hailing from Jacksonville, Florida, and developing his roots in the Rocky Mountains. He graduated from a Southern Arts high school as a theater major and developed a knack for words when he was involved with the spoken word community established at FAMU. An HBCU that has cultivated his understanding, appreciation, and preservation of Black culture and resilience. Currently, he travels the country performing poetry, curating shows, writing curriculum, and grants as CEO of the #Ultra-Terrestrial Tour. Furious's notable performances include final stage appearance at the 2015 National Poetry Slam, two-time appearance at the infamous Apollo Theater, and ranking number 6 in the world at the 2019 Individual World Poetry Slam. He is part of lyricist collective Cap 6, who has shared stages with various artists including Earl Sweatshirt, Vince Staples, Talib Kweli, DJ Premier, Saba Pivot, and many more. In 2018, Cap 6 released and toured their project Jelly, available on all platforms. In 2014, he released his debut project, Leaky Nostrils, Monogamous Swans, a blend of hip hop and poetry. following with his 2017 release of his first book, Dinner with the Ego and I, and accompanied by a national book tour called The Ego Trip. Nominated by a member of the community who shared, throughout his last year through Slam New Book, Hakeem has successfully piloted and expanded Slam New into comedy and rap ciphers with the intention to grow the program, audience, and artistry in the community. Alongside the Slam New team, Hakeem has also modeled these arts in his own work and innovates as he integrates with communities. His initiative to work and bring this vision of communities and sharing space is what drew me to nominate him for this award. So please welcome me. Help me join me in welcoming Hakeem Furious.
Yo, for like the past 3 months since when I found out, I was like, who nominated me? Who nominated me? Now I'm like, this motherfucker back. I don't like to curse, that's my favorite language to use, so I'm just be myself. But yeah, I don't know where to begin. I think the biggest part of what I've been trying to do with Slam Movement is that I realize there's a lot of attention and money, resources that either go to the literary arts or they go to the performing arts, but there's no mesh in between that is for the literary performing arts. So what I wanted to do with Nuba is just emerge as a literary performing arts organization and really bring attention and money and resources to those art forms that have always been around, that dictate culture, that are the reason why not only our cities, but America is what it is today because of the exports that come from the entertainment that is birthed from these art forms, which led us from expanding from just like slam poetry to spoken word as a whole to stand-up comedy and hip hop. It's just anybody who writes what they perform, because it is one thing to write and let it be there. It's one thing to perform someone else's work and interpret it, but to bring your own words to life and connect with the audience, that's a different thing. And that's the type of magic that happens every time someone touches the stage or their pen touches the page. All the things I said in my head I was gonna say are not there. So I'm just gonna perform and do a couple pieces. Perform will be good. But this one is called Black Magic. It starts with an epigraph from Sun Ra. Anyone familiar with Sun Ra in the building? Yeah, that's one of my favorite magicians, one of my favorite alchemists. So it starts like this. If you find Earth boring, just the same old same thing, come on, sign up for our Spaceway Incorporated. If you find Earth boring, just the same old same thing, come on, sign up for our Spaceway Incorporated. Me and my niggas put the war in warlock. Spell casting under the solstice, dice game transmutation circles, herbs to ritual fire, mixing potions in the back of a Cadillac protected by black cats and black gats. Our co-star coalitions will dap you up and read your palms. Songs manifesting molecularly, hexes from my exes or a new magic wand, twisted with tourmaline on onyx grid lines. What is ancestral cannot be fooled with smoke and mirrors. My people defy space and time. Our memories portal jump through our bloodstream. My grandmother can see the future. I was 7. She handed me a notebook and said, "You're going to be a writer." My high school graduation, she gifted me a set of luggage. That's how I ended up in front of you today. We're fulfilling prophecies where I can no longer fetishize my sickness. I must alchemize the venom alkaline, like the way we turn words into money or spellcast a crowd in less than a minute. If you find Earth boring, just the same old same thing, come on, sign up for Spaceway Incorporated. If you find Earth boring, just the same old same thing, come on, sign up for Spaceway Incorporated. Shame, that's that first point. Like that about that piece is like I talk about my grandma, and she handed me over. She's like, "You're going to be a writer. You're going to be a writer." And I was so against it. I was like, "No, I'm going to be an actor."
You were both right.
And then we were both right. Absolutely. And then I think about her a lot. Funny story, true story, sad story. When my daughter was midway through being incubated, I sent my grandma like the baby registry, and she was like, "I think this is just a good time to tell you I'm extremely disappointed in you and in your life decisions. And this is just something I cannot support." And I don't know, I think it's funny because ever since like my daughter's been born, I've been winning like all the time. And I was just like, damn, I wish you could see this. Not even in a like, ha, but in a like, I think as I'm becoming more of an adult and a parent, it's just like something growing out of that like. But that's we didn't talk about my daughter. And we were sitting and we were watching Sesame Street, and then on Sesame Street, Mr. Cooper died. And I don't even like Mr. Cooper, but my daughter, she's just sitting there and she's just like gnawing on something, just crying, sitting, shedding a little tear right behind her, and she don't even know. And then I picked up my phone and I started writing this poem. Bear with me, it's typos. Mr. Hooper dies on Sesame Street. Big Bird draws pictures of all his adult friends on Sesame Street, and he asks where Mr. Hooper is, and all the adults fall silent, glance at each other, and wonder who has to pluck the feathers at a good time. They tell him, Mr. Hooper has died. And Big Bird replies, well, I'll just wait for him to get back. And the air is silent again. Tensely, they say, it's not coming back. Big Bird is confused. My daughter gnaws at the end of a bottle of lotion, laughing. The heaviest question of why makes everything feel small. And all they can say is, that's not how that works. And I wait for them to answer with something more elegant. And they answer again, just because. Someone is going to have to tell my daughter I'm dead. I'm never coming back. Just because. That's how it works. Even on Sesame Street. Thank you. For this last piece, I come like Jacksonville, Florida, and in Jacksonville, I was just a young boy stealing things from department stores, and then I got caught, put on punishment for like years, not years, that was like 3 months, 4 months. And then I was going to a performing arts high school, and I was a theater major, and one day I was skipping class, and skip class, I went to the auditorium. And in the auditorium, they had brought these spoken word poets to come in. And it was Shattered Thought, and they performed, and I was just watching them. I was like, I want to do that. And then they had a workshop after school. I went to the workshop, They're like, hey, we have a show on New Year's Eve, you know, come read 3 poems. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write all these poems. I have some parents, I'm like, yo, can I go? Can I go? Please, can I go? They're like, it's poetry, and they sent my grandma with me just to be like, yo, make sure it's all on the up and up. And my grandma's like, yes, yes. You know? And little did I know that that show was actually a slam. It was a slam to get on the youth poetry team. Now I got on the youth poetry team, developed bonds, and went to greater voices, which changed my life because I was around other writers that looked like me, my age, that went to the same things. And I was hooked. And then graduation soon came, and I went to college, and I got into a poetry Black Rhyme, which helped, you know, pretty much create all the poetry in most of the South, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Carolinas, something serious, and then Southern Fried. And it's just an extremely long history. And the founder of that organization, his name is Keith Rogers, and he's a slug if you didn't know one before. And when I first got to Tallahassee, he used to make us, he didn't make us, but he was like, y'all want to make some money? We're like, yeah, make some money. And he would put us out on in gas stations, big boxes of air fresheners. And we would sell these $5 air fresheners. And the way that we were able to sell these air fresheners were doing poems for people. And the gas station was like, come on, we're going to the Essence Fest. And he dropped us off at the Essence Fest. And we just walked the crowd, selling air fresheners, doing poems. And through that, I learned how to perform anywhere, anytime. You know, and I can sell you anything. I can sell you anything. But South has a really big place in my heart. And there's a style of literature called Southern Gothic, but they don't talk about the Black Southern Gothic. It's there. So I wrote up homage to this is that. Black Southern Gothic. Your grandfather stands outside an old plantation house and calls it home. Confederate generals resurrect and leave the school in a pledge of allegiance. A pickup truck sits outside a church with a loaded shotgun and a mouth of epithets. This Black Southern Gothic is for the stories that never got a chance to migrate north. There ain't no point of trying to escape a box by moving to the other side of the box. We won't talk about what happens in the notches of the Bible Belt, a charter dream sold by a traveling preacher, the building that got lost in debt, leave all your sins in Eatonville and never return. The eyes of watching God and wondering how many bodies are needed to tip the scale in favor. We want to believe that people will change, and no, we will not. Memphis, Montgomery, and everybody lost in the wake of the Mississippi. Goddamn, I slide like Clydesdale shotgun parties, taking the sink bourbon by the jug. Mama said Papa went to go get some cigarettes, and that was 2 husbands ago. I hope they find him in the middle of the Cotton Club, stuck in a 3-card Monte with a bottle and a beanie. A convenient shuffle in the card game of my enemies, the ones that can't tell the Joker. When they still my sleeve, I was never a king, but common folk, Lord, kind of deathless fit the native sons of Belcourt, like Tom Robinson on the other end of the mail's pointer finger, the final destination for those who take a streetcar named Desire. A story has been told before, a game of telephone filled with broken promises, cast the sounds of Mahalia Jackson into the bayou and come back with Betty Davis and a bucket of crawfish. We're just some Southern folk. America's identity crisis, the diaspora's most privileged elephant, fried, ripping from noses and humidity. Every blue moon we become a bloodhound, except it's hell with a smile from missing teeth and a draw figure. Thank you. Thank you all.
for doing so much work to ripple out and provide spaces for other people to do the same. Because it is an honor to celebrate you, and I'm really, really grateful that we get to. So thank you once again for sharing your work. One more round of applause for Erin this evening. For keeping like going for people in the room to not in the room, and it was like, oh, look at that. How it works, so I love that. Thank you, Wendy, for making your way up here to welcome us and for sharing the word board, because that's a lot of our our phenomenal margins committee who selected all of these directors. Tonight, we are going to have some fun. I hope you were all feeling ready for some fun. We are still setting up, as soon as it gets dark, we're going to show a film. Unless, of course, it's raining. I'm being told different things. If it's raining, we're going to watch this film inside. If it's not raining, we're going to watch it outside. I'm not sure yet which one is true. We're going to find out shortly. We're going to watch the film Persepolis, which is based on a graphic novel. If you haven't seen it, definitely see it. We're going to do that tonight. If you have seen it, see it again, because you should, because it's worth it. And then we are going to come back in here and we're going to dance. And it's going to be very fun, because our DJ is going to be the one and only Emily Prado. We were earlier reading from Peter Flacco. Yeah, she read a Peter Flacco. She's also a DJ Mommy Miami. So boom, that's happening tonight. We're going to dance. We're going to celebrate our bartenders and by generously tipping them. And we're going to have some fun tonight. And then we're going to get back in the sessions tomorrow morning. If you have questions, if you need anything, if you have some concerns, ideas, dreams that you want to talk about, look for anyone with a purple sash on, and we can help. Thank you again for being here tonight. I've been Susie Q. Smith, and I'm going to get off the stage now.
It's just